Good evening, everyone. This is Monday Garrison coming back, second episode. Today we'll be talking about serial entrepreneurship, whether it is an addiction or a passion. Also, after that, we're going to be having Florian Ledot as our guest speaker today, which he himself is a serial entrepreneur and also located in diverse different ecosystems. So it's going to be a very interesting time. To introduce you a bit about the Monday Garrison, we'll be doing a small podcast and introducing ecosystem trends, startup topics every Monday. So we'll be having about 20-minute brief discussion about what's going on or the recent trends or interesting topics. And then rest of the 40 minutes will be about guest speakers and podcast. So today's topic is a serial entrepreneurship. So I see a lot of founders often trying this and trying that and claiming it as a pivot or serial entrepreneurship. And I personally really, it's rare to find serial entrepreneurs in South Korea. An interesting thing is that most of the serial entrepreneurs in South Korea are quite often successful, but it's really rare to find one. If we get to see the statistics, 20% of the new business usually fail within the first 2 years, which means if you go beyond that J curve of first 2 years, you are most likely to survive. And 45% of the business don't survive their fifth years, and 65% of new startups fail during their first 10 years. Which seems pretty interesting because like most of the companies eventually fail if we get to see the statistics. Hello. Hello. Oh, I see Fabian, Ryan. Thank you for coming. Okay, back to the topic. If you failed your past enterprise, then you have a 20% higher success rate than the others, which means if you keep on trying, eventually you might get to end up in a successful business or a survivable business. Another 30% of business owners who started a successful startup in the past has a business success rate of 30%. So I think the answer coming here that we can feel is that if you repeatedly start doing new business, you might get to have a pretty good chance. And we get to see one of the entrepreneurial heroes quite often in our world, like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. And we will see the other celebrities on our next slides and see how their journey went through. So Elon Musk started off from writing video games, content publishing softwares, and online payment company, as we all know. Also space launch vehicles, SpaceX, Tesla, solar powered service, and now on Dodge. Not sure if I should claim Dodge as a new entrepreneurial journey, but something new. Also OpenAI, and so on. So if we see Elon Musk, he had a pretty comparatively less attempts to build like such a massive business. But if we see Greg Lefnowski, he used to sell carpets and then sports apparels and promotional products at marketplace, print procurements, logistics service, advertising software, and then boom, Groupon came up. Tempus AI, I personally invested on their stock, doing a poor job. AI healthcare data. But if you really look into the company of Tempus AI, it's pretty interesting. They got a really good fundamentals and technologies. So I really recommend you to study about Tempus AI. However, if you look at Greg Lefnowski, each business doesn't really connect. It has a totally different angle of business, and all of a sudden starting a logistic, advertising, and to Groupon. So I think the relevancy between the previous business and the current one is not really an important factor to becoming a serial entrepreneur and successful one. If you see Mark Cuban, as everyone knows, he started from selling garbage bags and then starts a chain letter and then teaches disco lesson, runs pub, computer consulting firm, which went pretty big, and then to the sports web broadcasting by sports teams, film producer, satellite TV network, and movie theaters. If you see Mark Cuban, I think he's one of the interesting characters in the entrepreneurial society because he's pretty well known about the Shark Tank, much more known as an investor. But for him, I think it's more than just an entrepreneurship. I think it's more about buying and selling business, knowing about a person, how to evaluate business, etc., etc. So that was Mark Cuban. And lastly, the Branson. If you see his business started from the selling Christmas trees, and then how many of those, like 20 different business attempts that he have gone through, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Airs, and now he's doing the space tourism business, and he's been all the way successful. So I was just wondering, like, yes, serial entrepreneurs is comparatively has a pretty good survival rate. It looks good, sounds good, often quite successful. And then in our real life experience, I get to see those people that constantly building new business, but not really successful. And I feel often seems pretty toxic for them to continuing the entrepreneurial journey because I could tell like his next one is not going to go well, or like I feel like this guy's taking too much risk. And I was searching for this topic about serial entrepreneurship and those kind of risk managements, and then I found this interesting thesis uh, written by Alexander McKelvey about entrepreneurship addiction. So this thesis is handling entrepreneurship as substance of addiction and entrepreneurial behavior, such as tolerance, withdrawal, relapse. And if you see the tolerance, needing bigger venture for the same high. I think this often gets to be applied by those people I really do not recommend to go to the entrepreneurial journey because often these people are pretty irresponsible about investments they get to receive or the programs they're taking part in, and then constantly going for the bigger ones, the bigger ones, and bigger ones. Um, I think withdrawal, like relentlessness and depression when not launching something new. I think these kind of things are pretty can be handled. But relapse, this is something that could be serious. Like I think successful entrepreneurs knows, although they're serial entrepreneurs, they know when to pull the plug. They know when to stop, and having some time out and think about better idea, better product. But those people who are in this relapse period, they engage in new ventures without preparing for the detailed plans. They don't really even have a runway. And especially those people with family they have to take care of, it could be pretty risky. Yeah, and the drivers behind the addiction is often passion versus obsession. Healthy entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial drive becomes unhealthy when passion turns compulsive. I think it's a pretty good word. Cultural glorification. I see this lot in the Asian culture, I think. Hustle culture and startup hero narratives rewards overwork. Like people really glorify hustle cultures, working hard overnight, and neuropsychological traits, risk seeking, need for achievements, and dopamine related behavior loops. Yeah, I mean, I think all the founders really has these types of neuropsychological traits. So I can't really blame on that. But yeah, these are the drivers behind the addictions. Risk and consequences are often the burnouts and mental health decline, especially when you're launching a business without a rough plan or risk management plans, without specific goals. I think people often drop into burnouts. Like if you do have plan and if you do have goals, you can somehow shake out from these kind of burnouts or mental health declines. But if you don't have one, I think people really lose motivations quickly and eventually leads into a burnout. And also financial instability due to overextension. I think this often happens to a lot of entrepreneurs because like by miscalculating the runways, and even for myself in my early couple of years running business, I had similar problems. But those people who are like, when it comes to serial entrepreneurs, those people who already failed their last business and then the one before, and when they're preparing for the another one, they should be definitely prepared for the financial stabilities. So I saw a couple of entrepreneurs who took a breakout, earned some runways for a couple of years, and then coming back to the entrepreneurial journey. I think that's one of the healthy ways to come back to become a serial entrepreneur. But going straight after a massive failures, I think it's not really healthy. Erosion of support systems, family, friends, etc. I mean, I do have a couple of entrepreneurial friends who are constantly failing, asking for mental supports. Yes, I can support them like maybe 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, but when it comes like fifth time, I really want to tell them you have to really look for yourself and see what's the real problem that you're constantly falling into these issues. And people get tired, like looking at failures, you feel sad or you want to give some comfort for first couple of times, but when it just repeats and people just digs into it forever, like, people also gets tired surrounding you. So I think those are something that you might really want to pick it out from this session. Um, Implication for ecosystem. On the last end of this slide, you get to see the 7 clauses. It's from the Forbes. 7 common traits by the serial entrepreneurs. They have the deep need to build and a knack for creative problem solving. They have high tolerance for risks. They prefer to bet on themselves. They tend to be good team builders. They seek things others don't and follow through when others won't or can't. And number 6 is the key factor that I think is that drives the success. They nurture entrepreneurial creativity and risk taking in their team. So, I mean, it's all about risk management, planning, making high tolerance on the risk, but at the same time, how to manage it, taking a break, or sometimes even laying off people. I think it's a really important commitment to take. Yeah, so I think I think we can dig in deeper by having our guest speaker today and discuss about these topics. Since he himself was a serial entrepreneur, please welcome Florian Ledot to the stage.
Hello, guys.
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, so Florian, please introduce us yourself a bit to our members.
Yeah, so quickly, my name is Florian. So I'm born and raised in France. Right after I have a master's degree in computing science, so I'm big into coding. Right after my master's degree, I moved to Japan to open my first company with with 2 Korean co-founders. Lived in Japan, made some product there for about 6 years. Then 2 years ago, moved to South Korea, where I founded two other ventures. So yeah, I guess that's let's start with this one and
Yeah.
might elaborate a bit more.
What was the business that you were running in Japan?
So in Japan, we did a lot of different businesses. In my opinion, the first one we started with a pen pal service. So making friends abroad between Japan and Western countries. We started that, but we really saw very early on that people, when they were using the app and they were talking to each other, they didn't want to be friends. They wanted more. So naturally, we shifted to dating. And that was quite successful. And that was my first hands-on experience in having a service and actually pivoting, because you see that people are not using your service for what you intended to, and you just drive, pivot all the some features, the business model and so on to cover what actually people want, and that actually worked.
But when you first started your business in Japan,
Yeah.
how did you fund the business?
So when we did this first service, we were working with another company, another Japanese established company that were actually supporting us, like with some funding, with also like a place to work and their network to launch the business. So it was like a common venture between us and another company based in Japan.
So is that service still going on, or?
we ran it for about I would say 3 years.
Hmm.
And there is a lot of interesting things about the dating service that most people don't know.
Okay.
It's actually very like lucrative. You can
Uh-huh.
make some good money,
Uh-huh.
but as soon as it become popular,
Uh-huh.
a lot of very interesting problem.
For instance, just please tell me a bit more about that. Yeah.
So for instance, like the first one that will start to come when it gets popular is scammers.
Hmm.
So people from like different countries, they create account, and you always hear about this. You receive a message, and it's like, oh, I'm in Japan. That was that like, oh, I'm a military from the U.S. Army. Like
Oh, I
in
got
here.
I got a stack of gold from Afghanistan.
It's not that one. Not
No,
that
no,
one.
not
It's
that
like
one. No.
I finished my time there. I have to go back to the U.S., but I don't have money. Can you
Oh
just
shoot. Okay.
lend me like a couple of hundred?
Uh-huh.
And um, you always think, no way people fall for this kind of messages. But actually, what I've learned is, when people are lonely and very desperately lonely, you can do
Yeah.
a lot of bad things, not bad things, but naive things, I would say. There are these or people, so you have to fight this, so you have to, check IPs where people come from, because, all these people that scam, they come from certain countries. So you tend to block IPs, but then, they can use VPN to come from technically anywhere
okay.
else. Then, you start to ban entire country from downloading your service from the app store, or that kind of
Man.
things. But again, people can use VPN and create it takes just more time for them to recreate an account and so on. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to stop this. And at the same time, when people got scammed, usually what happens is they don't even do this on your own service, so you cannot control. They usually request like, oh, I'm not very active on this app, but can you add me on Kakao? Okay, so they do this.
Oh, okay.
Also, and
Yep.
then these people, they lose money, then they come back to you, and it's suddenly become your fault, and you cannot check anything because it didn't happen there.
Yeah.
And then some countries, interestingly, they have government agencies to kind of fight this kind of scamming. So we started receiving letters and emails from governments.
Ooh. Okay.
We actually received one. Like I remember, they were like Portugal
Uh-huh.
and Korea.
Oh.
So they were asking like, we receive complaints, that's stuff
From
like
the government agencies.
Yeah. They have
Jeez, okay.
they have some hotline numbers or some kind of that
Okay.
people can complain, and then these people come back to you. So that was actually very interesting. And same thing goes for, people send interesting pictures to each other.
Well, like
So a lot of, oh, this person did that, and so it's like, so at the same time it was making okay money, but then the amount of money was taking us to moderate everything. At the end of the day, to keep it like healthy was too much. So
but you must have been competing with Tinder and Bumble for a long period of time then.
No, because it was mostly like a niche dating
Okay.
app, So it was not as big as the competitor you are, but it was it was doing some good traffic, and we were also doing like so it was an online service, but we were also doing offline events as well. So coming from just a software engineer background and having to do, I remember back in the day, like you can even go on the internet to find this service, because some service archive images and things from, even if your app is not on the store, but you can see I'm the face of the service, so we all the marketing, because it was like a service between Westerners and Japanese people, so I was the face of the model.
Yeah.
Because at the time we didn't have a lot of money, and like European Westerners model, they were expensive, so I just like
Oh
use
man.
myself. So you can see myself with like way more hair than now on the internet. But and then when
Can we
we
still
were,
find it though?
yeah, you can, 100%. Many people have seen it though, but it's there. Also, when we were doing like offline event, because we were making sure that everything was safe. So I need even to bring back some people back to the station, so like some kind of bouncer, like bodyguard. Like it was, it was,
Man.
that was actually a very good time. First company, discovering a lot of things, thinking like back in the day, uh, as a freshly graduate person, I thought, oh, when we start a business, the building the product is the hard part. So you just build the product. My job is building the product, and when the product is done, like 80% of the job is done, and I'm a rich person. It's none of
Not
that.
really, yeah.
Like building is like maybe 20%,
Huh.
and the rest is like marketing, sales. Right? You can build the best product you want, but if there is no one that knows about it, there is no one that download the app or use it, then it's worthless. So I quickly discovered that having your channel of distribution, building a community around the product that you make is actually what make the product successful.
But so what was the next gig after you finished doing that dieting app business?
So we made a big jump into EdTech.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from dating to EdTech, so we were making a product that you were able to learn English using YouTube videos. So it's like it was not targeting beginners, but mostly people that wanted to improve their listening skills. So you could go to the app, and because when you want to learn English, they usually have they made their own video, but it would be better if you can use the video of the YouTuber that you like to learn. It's
True.
more fun.
Yeah.
So you could go in the app, you could type like any video you wanted, and we were giving you this video with AI subtitles. And you could learn, and you had like some dictation features and some dictionary. So if you didn't know any word, you could double tap on the word and giving you like examples or. But that was back in 2018.
Whoa. So how did that go?
So interesting story here and there. Here again. So made the app, and then Slush.
Yeah.
Back in Helsinki. So we were selected for Slush 100, using this service. Went there, did the pitching. I mean, didn't win, but still a great experience. Has some connection with investors, and the worst experience in my life was actually doing the due diligence. The due diligence, like
Due diligence for what?
for the investors.
Oh, for investors.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's takes so much time. And then I remember when we were about to go forward and release and everything, my friend and co-founder came to me and they say, okay, there is a I have a good and a bad news. The good news is he was talking with another CEO that he knew, and there were potential opportunity that we could make like a big service using this person big network to make a big service, and we were just supporting with the tech and the AI that we know. But on the flip side, if we did that, we had to abandon what we just worked on.
Okay.
Because we couldn't sustain both of them. So the service that we were doing, the education, was B2C. So for just normal people download the app, but the new service was B2B. And at the time, I was young, and he had still have a lot of more experience than I did. So I said, let's do what you think is good. So and it was a good idea. So we did this new project. Fortunately, in my still deep down, I'm still sad that building something and nobody saw it. Especially we presented this service at Slush. Also did a couple of meetups or tech talk about it, but are still on the internet. So you can everyone was stoked about the idea, and to not be able to actually release it is kind of a sad part. But and then we went to this new project was HR tech. So building an HR job platform for the fashion industry in Singapore and then in Japan. So very like big stretch, it's like
That's like totally random three
yeah,
business, starting from dating
yeah,
and then to an edutech
yeah,
and then to an HR platform.
yeah,
That's totally random.
yeah,
Yeah. And then now you're doing.
yeah. And now I'm now in Korea. So that was back in Japan. Then when I moved to Korea, um, so it was funny. I was smiling a lot when you were talking about entrepreneurs because you were telling, oh, some people they can take time off and so on.
Yeah.
That made me smile because that's actually the thing that I thought of when I moved from Japan to Korea. I thought, oh, I'm coming to Korea. Maybe it's time that I can relax. But didn't happen because I first. So when you talk about addiction, when you talk about passion, I really relate to that because I feel people who are entrepreneurs or their brain works, I think, differently. We see every occasion as trying to find a problem and trying to solve it. It's like, oh, okay, this works, but can I make it 10 times better? Okay, this doesn't work. How can I make so? Our day is rhythm by these feelings. So I came to Korea. I love tech, so I wanted to go to a lot of tech events, speak about the tech, because back in Japan actually I could do this a lot of meetup groups, a lot of events are in English in Japan, but then when I came to Korea, everything was in Korean.
Yeah.
So I still went there and I was like, oh, can I I want to showcase this project or this tech talk I want to give, and some of the meetup they say no because you don't speak Korean.
Definitely.
But then one of them opened the door and I thought, oh, maybe this is the first time they had an English speaker. This is the first time that they had English speaking attendees. So then I thought maybe I created something they will do more. Didn't happen. So then as an entrepreneur, when you don't find what you want, you just make it yourself.
Okay, yeah.
So very early on I started the Seoul iOS meetup. And then from this meetup, the funny thing is when you become like a community leader and people come to talk to you about and they see you as some kind of an expert, even though it's usually not the
really,
case.
yeah.
And then they talk to you about their problem. And the main problem was, do you know any website or any insights for me to find a job in Korea? It's hard to find a job if I don't speak Korean. I cannot use the usual channels like the Sarami Job Korea, whatever. And then usually when you create a business, there is two ways. The first way is you have a pain point, you solve it for you, and you feel like, oh, if the pain point is big enough, then other people they will need that. So you kind of first you solve your problem, and then if people have the same problem that you have, then you solve their problem as well, and you create a business around that. The other way is you don't have the problem per se, but in your environment there are strong signals that is pushing you to there is a problem here. And that was the case for Dev Korea. I never needed to find a job ever. But because of the community, many people came and told me, oh, I cannot find a job. 1 person, 10 person, 20 person. So it made me think like, oh, there might be something.
Yeah.
So I quickly, published a very simple website online, devkorea.com. The design almost never changed, just to tap the market in like 2-3 days, just a simple landing page to see if traction was coming, and still going to event and so on, and traction was coming. So this is just how I validated kind of the idea.
So how's it going in Korea so far? Like with Dev Korea, do you see better chance? Comparing to your experience in Japan and different ecosystem.
So I actually had this conversation yesterday and today. I go a lot on Reddit to check actually what people are saying. There are like some very interesting subreddit like the Korea or living in Korea. And you see, when you go there, you actually see what people are really thinking, their problems, pretty much. And one person was talking about, I'm looking for a job. What do you think? Korea is a good country. I went there. I love the country. Like, how is it working there? and a lot of people pointed that maybe Japan is a better country because it's more established. The way the fact of hiring foreigners, the fact of
The system.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I commented because I have quite some good overview about the problem, and I felt that Korea is maybe 5-6 years behind Japan in this, and this can be explained by, in my opinion, quite some options. One of it is Japan has been known internationally for quite some time.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, 30 years, maybe more. And people knew about Japan. They started to visit Japan as tourists, fell in love with the country, decided to go there, and then the whole environment, the whole ecosystem started to grow.
Yeah.
But for Korea, it's, to me, like where it happened way sooner. Maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
When people started like with the K-pop and all the
True.
Korean wave. So now we see a lot of tourists coming to
Yep.
Korea, and I feel the way I moved to Japan is I went there as a tourist as well, loved the country, and decided to dig a bit more, like what will it take to either work there or create something there. That was my position. So if it happened for me, I'm thinking that it will happen for a lot of other people in Korea. So when I came, there were like no platforms. So this is why I started Dev Korea. And I see that more and more foreigners, like I see it's by the traction, more and more coming to Korea, and more are interested to work there. But if there is no solution to help these people that don't necessarily speak Korean, then that would be very hard. So this is the reason why I started to build Dev Korea.
But okay, so coming back to the topic of serial entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I mean, cheers on that. Cheers. Sorry, I popped my mic. So yes, you see problem, you try to build something new. You see problem, you try to build something new, and at the same time you're running a dev career. This is a question that I haven't really listed up, but I'm just out of curiosity. Do you think you could have done the same even if you were not having a computer engineering background? Because like, if you see, like last time I had this friend who's an attorney, became an entrepreneur, and then he gave up on entrepreneurship, and it was so easy for him to get back to his job. And at the same time, like just having a bit of a legal consultation, it gives him like handful of small allowance, I will say, to get things going. But for people who doesn't even have a tech background or any kind of expertise in certain areas to, earn enough money to keep the life floating, it's pretty difficult. So do you think developers has like definitely an advantage to become a serial entrepreneur?
So I would say yes, without too much hesitation, just by the fact that, so honestly, being an engineer, being a coder, I feel in my hands, it's kind of weird to say it, but I feel so much power. Meaning that I see a problem, I can build something right away. I can try to solve it.
Okay.
I don't need anyone else. I can, maybe not solve it fully, but I feel so much power. Like, I had the gauntlet.
Okay.
But I feel I say that to a lot of people, but I feel so much power that I can act on things where people would be just like, oh, it would be good if they were that.
Yeah.
I don't feel it could be good. I can actually just go back home or open my laptop and start to fix the problem right away. And I think this is a very powerful feeling. But other people that don't know tech, I mean, you have to be curious in my opinion. Even there is a lot of coders that don't even think about being an entrepreneur. They don't think about it. So even between like programmers, very few people want to start a company.
Interesting.
I think it depends on it's not just the fact of being able to build things. It's about you have in my opinion you have to have like you have to be a bit of a troublemaker at the same time. Being like okay, there are some institutions that are in place. There are things that are already in place, but I can do better. I can solve this problem better, and I think there is a bit of troublemaking in that.
Yeah.
Being to, you know, and not everyone wants that, and it's totally fine. If we had like everyone was an entrepreneur, like that would be a
So
big problem.
So, I mean, many entrepreneurs, when they first start, the common problem they get to face is obviously money. It's about funding.
Yeah.
Did you used to self-fund yourself by jumping into side gigs, like outsourcing development projects while you're working on your own products and everything?
So yes, in the beginning we actually partnered with other companies. So we were doing like they were using our tech abilities to build things, and also design and other things, and they were supplying money or their network, because if you have a network, things can go like way faster. Yes, but always like the way of bootstrapping, raising fund. Some people just they have an idea, they always want their to raise money, like a
Yeah.
seed or something to
Yeah. Yeah.
without this they don't start. But it was never my taste, because first, like, just if you make something on your own, you don't have the stress of having to please someone else.
Yeah.
Most of the time we fail, so we don't have I personally don't want to have someone else on my back saying like, oh, is it going well, this kind of thing. And in terms of term sheets, it's also way better if you raise the fund as late as possible, because the more you raise
You
sooner,
get better values.
yeah, because
Yeah.
the more the investor has to take a lot of risk, and it makes sense. If I have just an idea in my head, and I will get very few, not a lot of money, and a very
A lot of equity given out.
yeah. But if I have some customer, like even one customer that is paying, it changed the whole thing. So I actually like bootstrapping as much as possible. But this is still debatable.
Okay. I mean, I partially disagree though. Like, you know, not having a boss of your own, somebody who's telling you to do this, do that,
Yeah.
did you do this, checking up. Because, I mean, for entrepreneur, the biggest boss that exists is the customers and clients.
Yeah.
This is when I first started business, that's what I was imagining. Like, oh, I'm going to be boss of my own. Like, if I go to university students and ask them, like, why do you want to do your own business? And they'll be saying, I want to become a boss of my own. And the truth is, what I feel is that it's actually much more painful than having a singular boss, just taking all the responsibility, whatever the shit goes on. But meanwhile, I have to take care of all the responsibilities and a whole bunch of customers having entirely different needs and everything.
Yeah.
So, like, do you enjoy customer feedbacks? Like, I mean, especially when you were running a dating app.
Yeah.
And now, even in Dev Korea, I'm definitely sure there must be trolls, like, giving you tough ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, that's mostly one of the reasons why not every programmers they want to be entrepreneurs, or because
Yeah.
they don't want to take the bad part that's coming with it, all the
Yeah.
responsibility. Some people they're just they want to code, and they want to be good at programming. They want to become a specialist, and this is what I felt. I was an engineer, so I wanted to be very good at engineering. But then I became very good at engineering, and then when I took like more responsibility, like when we hired more people, and my role as CTO like kind of became more meaningful, then I realized that I was becoming a generalist. I was grabbing a lot of skills here and there, design, marketing here and there, but my main skills as software engineer just was decreasing because, and other people around me, they were becoming better than me. And so for some people, they don't want that. They just want to be the best at one discipline. But if you are an entrepreneur, you cannot.
You can get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you have to, so
Yeah.
you will lose your main specialty and become more generalist. And sometimes it hurts, when I put my engineer cap and, seeing people that do this all day, then of course they become good. And I can't
Yeah.
do only this because I have to respond to customer feedback. I have to
Yeah.
check Reddit what people are saying. So, but it's logic. Um, but what was the other question after that?
No, like, does it hurt? Like, it's very different with dealing with your boss who doesn't know a
The
thing
customers,
about
yeah.
what he's ordering, he or she's ordering to you, and dealing with customer complaints that does no shit about what they're up to. So, like, does it hurt? And
Does it hurt? Not really.
hmm,
Uh, it's part of the game, I guess. You will receive, and actually the good thing about if we talk about Dev Korea is I receive way more good things than bad things.
hmm,
Every day I receive people like, thank you for making the platform. Finally, we have a platform we can check
awesome,
on things.
awesome.
Some people that discover the platform in South Africa, in Algeria, or
Whoa,
wherever. I think we have people viewing the platform in like more than 175 countries.
awesome.
So, and some people that discover the platform, and somehow this happened once, discovered the platform, and then I saw him in Korea, he had a job.
Hmm.
So that's actually
Awesome.
very good. So, and of course you will have trolls, and people think that because you manage your platform, you can get a job to everyone. You're some kind of magician that, oh, you need a job, here is a job, here is but you can't do this. You can't make miracles. So I try to answer everyone and saying like, especially when you hear people, they need money, there's this, there's people are find like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of reason why they need a job. But at the end of the day, my job is connecting companies and job seekers, and that's the only thing I do. I can give recommendations, but at the end of the day, I'm not. And the thing is, what people don't understand is, especially if I don't know the person very well, just online, just one message, I cannot take the risk. I know a lot of people, in CEO of companies or HR managers or talent or recruiters. I cannot introduce the first person that messaged me to someone
Yeah.
that I trust and trust me, because if something doesn't go well, then it's coming back to me.
Yeah.
So I cannot just make miracles, but I just try my best to answer everyone. So at least I receive also a lot of
Interesting.
resume to check up and say this is fine. But I just cannot make miracles. So
Okay.
I don't feel it hurts me that much.
So looking back the past, going back to the past, you've been doing the dating app,
Uh,
and then the edutech, and then the HR, and then now you got a talent platform. You had your up and downs. You had a glory in the dating app, and also the downfall, and then also the edutech, and then now on Dev Korea. As a serial entrepreneur, over those past experience, what's your best like learning? Number one, number two, what are the business that you would not do ever again? Like, what's the that business sector or type that you would not do as a lesson learned from the past? Yeah.
so the best lesson I would say, so if I have to choose only one, is what my friend told me when we switched to this um, if when we switched to this edtech, which was B2C to B2B, is if possible always make B2B.
Hmm.
B2C is so random.
Yeah, and it
You
just
know?
vaporized all of a sudden.
But when you can get some good B2B clients, it's predictive. When you can hook B2B client, for them it's very hard to leave. Like
Yeah.
if you actually give value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's more predictive. It's in my opinion easier, even though getting those clients is harder than just having someone download your app and so on. So I would always advise someone, if they are given the choice B2C or B2B, always go for B2B. And if they are doing B2C, always try to see a way to transform this B2C on a B2B if possible,
Okay.
because that's sometimes possible. Just having an enterprise version when
Yeah.
your target customer are not B2C,
Yeah.
but are companies. And so that was, and the other one, if I don't do like the one that I would not do,
Yeah.
it's
Business
funny
that you
because
won't do. Yeah.
it's funny because I would say something like Dev Korea.
Oh, really?
Because the reason why it's because these businesses, I don't know if it's the right term, but they are like chicken and egg problems
Oh yeah, always.
where you start a job platform. You need to please two people, two sides. You need to please the job seekers, you need to please the companies. If you want companies to post jobs on your platform, they will ask you what's your traffic, so how many job seekers come. And in order to get job seekers to come, if you have no job, they
Yeah.
will not come.
Yeah, I see.
So you need you need a way to break that circle to get things going. So and usually these services, they don't require a lot of tech part. That's what's good. The tech part of Dev Korea is very simple. But it takes so much effort on the other side, contacting the companies. Usually if you have it's I would say it's same way with Airbnb. You need to contact you need to have people to list their home, and then on the same time, if you have none of them, you have to start somewhere.
I mean, isn't it practically the same thing with the dating app? Because if you have too much male
yeah, which
members,
is the case.
which is the case usually, you get to go through a problem. If you have too much female users, usually turns out to be a better case. But it's always about chicken and egg, balancing this and
Yeah. I think in a way, I don't feel it as strong as job platform, but in a way you're correct. But I don't know. It was way easier, the dating app,
huh?
because I feel, especially it's a problem that
Yeah, it's a matter of an instinct, right?
yeah, because people it's a problem that people are willing to pay high money to get sold, the loneliness, right? So but yeah, back to the answer. Yeah, that's something where you have to please, and especially two different sides.
Yeah.
Right? And without pleasing one, you cannot get the other one. So it's just divide your effort into two, where if you make I don't know a dev tool or something, you just have to please developers. So you just maximize the problems.
I see. I'm like slightly off the serial entrepreneur topic. These days, like, we have so much AI tools, right? So many. Just they have AI for this, AI for that, AI for this, and every day you get to see a new hit AIs coming from here and there. Do you feel like, can you literally feel it from your Dev Korea platform or in the engineer ecosystem that this AI thing is definitely influencing the amount of job that exists for the developers and engineers?
So there are way more job related to AI, especially on on. So the thing is, what if there is a job seeker that want to find a job in Korea and that person doesn't speak Korean? My biggest insight, my biggest advice would be to be very good at something. If you are the best at one thing, at this topic, then it doesn't matter you don't speak Japanese, you don't speak Korean. Companies, they will want you because you are the best at that. If you are like just some kind of a generalist, they are in Korea. There is the local pool of talent, especially junior developers, is big enough, so they don't have to go outside of Korea to bring those talents.
Yeah.
But in domain like AI, like mid senior, they ask for international talents because the pool in Korea is not big enough. So in AI with all the booms, so there are a lot of jobs that are created that requires AI.
Oh, okay.
And at the same time, if how to say, I'm expecting that in a couple of months or a year, every dev job will have in their description must know how to use the AI tools.
For instance,
For example, ChatGPT or Cursor, or they will require people like not knowing how to use ChatGPT as a developer will be seen as a weakness.
huh?
Because and I partially agree. I mean, I not partially. I agree with this because it can make you so much better. You know, it can make you like a maybe 2 times better. You know, just don't trust everything that the AI is saying, but you know, using it just save time. So I'm and probably in other not only developer jobs, but I'm seeing it where every product manager, every marketer in their job description, it will be written must know how to use X tool, AI
Yeah.
tool, because it it it's so easy to use now that it will become like a commodity. Like they will expect people to know how to use it.
Interesting thing. I saw this article saying that with the evolvement of AI technology, non-tech background entrepreneurs can now make multiple different products like prototypes or MVPs,
Yeah.
and just try it repeatedly. And they say like nowadays a lot of accelerators abroad, not in Korea, are also open to investing on non-tech background startups with MVPs that they have developed via the AI. And what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's a good thing. So this is joining your first point where you were saying like to be an entrepreneur or do you have to know about programming?
Yeah.
Not anymore. You know, you can use a lot of tools that will make a landing page. You know, you just write a prompt and they will give you a landing page. They will give you like access to like an LLM in the background, payment and so on. So you don't have to be uh, just to try it out. I feel you will still need a tech team. I don't see it replacing a programmer like for now because there are a lot of things like I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of people are talking about vibe coding these days. Like just open you don't know any code, any programming languages. You just open, you write something, and then you
It
at
works.
certain extent, yes, but we also see a lot of people having trouble with security with this because the LLM is giving this, and they just say yes, yes, yes. They don't know what's going on, so they just say yes, so they can expose like critical, confidential data outside because they don't know what's going on. They just press yeah, yeah, looks good, but that's not enough at some point. So there were some people that were just vibe coding something good
And jumps into trouble they don't
in a
not see.
weekend,
Yeah.
and then they woke up on Monday and they had a bill of $30,000 from this provider because the key that they were using was public and anyone could take it, and they didn't know because, So I see it's a good thing that many people can try, building their own product, their own MVP, starting if they get traction, and if they get traction, asking a person that they know, hey, I got this traction, do you want to join me? And I think it's better, it's good. I like it.
There's a question that came out like not knowing ChatGPT, Cursor, or Sonnet is not a disadvantage already. So
Yeah. uh, I think on job description, not yet, but on the mind of people, like personally, if I were about to hire someone and they've never known about ChatGPT or don't know how to use it, in my mind, it would be considered as a disadvantage because, yeah,
interesting.
that's debatable again. But you know, it. I advise everyone to try it because even give the link to your parents or your grandmother or anyone. Just they will be a bit skeptical at first, but we became so much dependent that there is a funny joke which is like when sometime there are so much traffic on ChatGPT or Cloud or any other LLMs, and it just stops working because there is a crash somewhere. And
Yeah.
most people now, I feel I'm smiling because I feel like the same sometime. I'm like, oh, well, if the LLM is not working, then I guess it's a day off today.
Oh, really?
because because
Huh.
because it's like we became so much dependent on just reviewing every email, reviewing so
Yeah.
it's like when it's not working, it's like, well, I guess I
So
take a day off today.
so yeah, I mean like the dependency on AI, it's I think it is surely becoming crucial.
Yeah.
And I think it will also foster bringing in more entrepreneurs to the world. And yeah, I mean, like developing new stuff is getting much more easier and easier. And there's definitely a downside of not having the professional background, as you said, but at the same time, having so much dependency on AI, yeah, kind of gives you a day off, huh?
But
So,
some people are scared about that, like saying it's taking our jobs and things like
yeah,
that. So at the same time, I understand what they mean. Um,
they just have to be better at what they were doing, huh?
yes, and we see this, the same mechanism repeating again and again. When he was when
When there's
the
a paradigm
probably,
shift, you
yeah,
have to
the
get along with that.
combustion have been discovered, and now we were not using horses, we were using
Yeah.
cars, or like trucks and so
Hmm.
on. Then some people got replaced, so I guess they had the same question, but we don't want electricity because it's going to take our job. So we are going there again. Then maybe we'll have robots that will replace other people. So unfortunately, against this, there is nothing to do. What you have to do is embrace the tool and see what you can do with it. Try to reinvent yourself using the tools that you have, because the tools are not going away anymore. It's like, can you imagine? It has been just 2 years, maybe. Can you imagine waking up tomorrow and there are no more LLMs? Now what do we do?
Oh
No,
yeah.
it's like
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that we cannot do anything, but it will still be like, okay, now we have to work like before. We have to.
So, okay. If I move to the next question, then let's say AI AI developer and AI tools has just went way advanced from these days, and now nobody really needs a dev career anymore.
Yeah.
And now you gotta, like, you're empty-handed. What would you do? Like, what's your next business you have in mind, or anything that you've been working on these days?
So, I guess all entrepreneurs, they have probably a notebook of 110 project that they want to do, they want to start. Most of them are trash, but some of them are okay.
Yeah.
We put our small stars on top.
Yeah.
1 star, two
Yeah.
star, 3 stars, right?
Yeah.
So I have a notebook full of projects as well. Um,
What's really grasping your mind? Like, oh, this is it. This is something that I have to do next one. Yeah.
Probably something related to that. There is an idea about some kind of event,
Huh.
event or networking thing.
Huh.
Um,
So that's like totally zero to do with like developing. You know.
I mean, it has, it's an app.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I like programming so much that I don't know if I could find another idea that doesn't involve programming at some
Interesting.
point, because I guess coming back to the addiction or passion, I think both are related. You know, entrepreneurship is an addiction, I think. We always think about the next problem, but at the same time, it's a passion. I don't do this with like a sad face on like a sad face. I'm always happy. Every day I
Yeah.
wake up happy. I will, I will code what there will be a problem. I will solve that problem with code. I will, I receive this from a user. I'm gonna solve that problem. So it's an addiction, but linked to a passion.
Huh.
So I cannot. I don't see myself doing something else. To be honest, I guess many people always ask, if you somehow you win a lot of money, like what would you do? Probably the same.
I'll do something else.
Maybe a bigger problem, more like
That's your higher.
a problem that requires more money
Yeah.
to get started.
I see.
But I think I will do the same thing because I really enjoy what I'm doing. And I, most people they live their life and they cannot find the meaning of their life. They spend so much time thinking like what I'm here for. But I feel that's what I'm here for, just finding problem and trying to make things better. So from that, I cannot spend a day without coding, for instance. I always have to code something, because it's really, it's like if you like to play video games or you like to play, football,
Yeah.
then it's not a job anymore. It's just you play, and at the same time,
I mean, for first few weeks you enjoy, and then month after when you're broken off, you'll be like, maybe it is a job now,
I mean,
right?
not every day are bright, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also
I see.
someone very optimistic,
So
and I always see the good thing.
I see. So as we're wrapping up, one last question. What would be your like advice for your Dev Korea users, like developers who are looking for jobs, and also, what are the piece of advice you want to give to developer who's looking for job and developers who's trying to become an entrepreneurs?
Okay. So for the first one, I think this one will be highly debatable, and a lot of people will say what I'm about to say is wrong. So comment down below.
Great one, great one.
If I'm happy to discuss about that because this is what I think, and if you think otherwise, then let me know and let's discuss about it. Okay, so here's the thing: learning Korean is a mistake.
That's
That's
I don't
my-
think that's a mistake.
That's my catch.
It's a heavy one though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Yeah.
So, but as a if you want to look for a job as a developer, right? On Dev Korea, developer tech,
Yeah.
to me that's a mistake, because first off, if they wanted someone who speak Korean, they will take a Korean person. That's my first thing. Like,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's totally
if
supply and demand.
they want someone like fluent or like, then why they don't take a Korean person and don't have the trouble?
Yeah.
If they go in their mind to hire,
Foreign developer.
then, in my opinion, you don't have to speak Korean. And because and also I'm a terrible person because I lived in Japan for 6 years, didn't learn a single line of Japanese. I've been here for 2 years, so I still have like a bit of margin.
Okay.
And learning a language is hard. Especially I'm French. Learning English is kind of easy. Spanish as well. But when we go to like Japanese or Korean, it's very hard.
Oh, it's the next
Even,
level. It's the next level thing.
So I'm guessing if I want to move to Korea and I have somehow to learn Koreans, would be like, I don't know, 3 years, 2-3 years. I prefer 100% spending my 2-3 years to become very good at that technology and become a specialist at this, and then I prefer investing my time doing this.
Yeah. Instead of learning Korean. Yeah.
And the second part is, you don't know what tomorrow is made of. Maybe you want to stay in Korea forever, but things happen. And what if you have to go to Japan? You have to go back home. Then this Korean language is become useless.
Yeah.
So I prefer spending my time investing on learning something, becoming better at something that I can reuse in other countries.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah, rather than focusing on if I did this and I became fluent in Korean, sure, I would do it, but it will take years.
Yeah.
And I prefer
You'll be
investing
still
this year
struggling.
as something that is related to my craft, become better programmer. Rather than that's my take. That's what I think. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to be failure proof. There will be a lot of failures, 100%.
100%.
What you see on the internet is only the people who succeed. The people who fail, they usually don't show themselves, and you don't know the backstory. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
So you don't know how many times they failed. They just show you the good side.
True,
you
true.
know. Maybe it's fake, maybe not. But so building this kind of shield, this resiliency of people. People will tell you, even sometimes people that are very close to you, they will say it's not going to work, but you're wasting your time. So building this kind of resiliency, and it can become very lonely, because nobody believes. So there is part of this proud that's why maybe a lot of entrepreneurs, me included, even though we fail, we want to do something else because we want to prove everyone that I was right.
Yeah.
So become it has to do with skills, but also a lot with mindset. Being very resilient, not being. You will see a lot of failure, but when you have one failure, don't be just stop everything. Someone disapprove what I'm doing. I'm
Keep
stopping,
going.
and sometimes it's like overdone.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are so many red flags, but you're still like, no, I will. But that's why it's an addiction, I guess.
Yeah, it's approval is our high, and approval of our thesis is kind of the thing for the serial entrepreneurs.
So take all the information people are telling you and they like and they don't like, but try to take some time and think about should I take this piece of advice? Should I discard that?
Chill
that's,
and learn. Yeah.
yeah. So if you disagree with one of these two, let me know.
All right. Thank you so much, Florian. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Feel free to drop us any questions. And global entrepreneurs, you're always welcome to subscribe and drop comments on us and join us as a speaker or even suggest as the next topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.